on what this G7 summit has achieved, let's turn to Paolo Von Schirach. He's president of the Global Policy Institute and a professor of political science and international relations at Bay Atlantic University here in Washington, D.C. 6 of the group of 7 leaders still in Canada trying to make something come of this. But what do you make of this, this group of 7 meeting with Trump departing rather quickly?
Well, look, he seemed to have a legitimate excuse, right? There is this crisis. We all know what this is about. Israel, Iran, Israel attacking Iran on account of its quasi, nuclear capability. And Trump said, well, I've got to go. You understand? Yes, of course we understand, etc. But that gave him a perfect excuse not to meet with Zelensky, for instance, who was there to discuss with the whole group, the 7, the whole problem of Ukraine, which is, we know what that is. So that gave Trump an easy way to say, I'm not there, so I'm not part of that conversation, and therefore, whether or not there is there's no communique on the Ukraine-Russia war, the Russia attack against Ukraine. So, this G7/G6 turned out to be a much more muted affair, even though, as we know, other heads of government, heads of state were invited, including the Indian Prime Minister, the Secretary General of NATO, the President of the European Commission, von der Leyen. I mean, it's not like this is a disaster, but with when you have the 7 most powerful Western countries and then the most powerful among them goes away early, well, it's not the same thing. It's not a disaster, but it's not the same thing. And in the end, it turned out to be a rather muted affair with not much really accomplished. There was a statement from the chair, I guess, that from the Canadian Prime Minister, who's the host of the event in the province of Alberta. So what was really accomplished? Well, some progress, I guess, in trade negotiations, as your reporting indicated. The American Secretary of State, who is a pretty powerful person, official in this context of discussing with other countries the tariffs, that's not insignificant. Something seems to be been agreed with Great Britain. There's something going on with Canada, which will lead to some probably final outcome within 30 days, we hear. So something has happened. By the way, bilateral relations between Canada and the host country and India are going to be normalized. There were some real issues when Canada accused basically the Indian government of having sent assassins to get rid of a person that the Indians think is a terrorist or whatever, but he was killed on Canadian soil. The Canadians accused the Indian government. That's pretty powerful stuff. Now it seems like the 2 leaders have come together and they will normalize relations. But again, all these are bits and pieces. Not much, I would say, has been accomplished except for kind of a vague idea of agreeing on strategies to be able to acquire rare earth minerals or something akin to that, but nothing really specific.